My music studio used to look like this. There were cables everywhere. It was just an absolute mess. And so I spent the summer organizing myself and redoing everything from top to bottom. In that process, I've learned quite a bit, and I want to share with you 5 things that can help you with your studio etiquette and cable management. I hope you're ready. Here we go. Hey, what's up, team? Eddie Gray back at it again, and we're talking about cable management today. Now, this is not necessarily the sexiest, most exciting subject in music production, but it is a necessary one, and let me tell you why. When you decide to redo your space and start from scratch, not only will you understand the signal flow of your music studio, but what's inevitably going to happen is you're going to make better use of the space because you're going to be cognizant of everything that is going on concurrently in your music studio. So it's really going to open up the possibilities of what you can do with your space. So I will be dropping affiliate links in the description. So if you're interested in purchasing any of these products, this will greatly help out the channel. Now, I was deathly afraid of taking on this project just simply because of the overall workload. I just was ghastly afraid of just taking it on. And there's reasons for that. Number one, I have 3 interfaces, so lots of ins and outs. I have a summing mixer, more ins and outs, and now I have a set of active and passive speakers. Put all of that together with a tremendous workload and a heavy schedule, and you can kind of see why I was hesitant for so long. But I just decided that it was the best thing to do at this point in my career, and I'm so glad that I did it. So let's get into step number 1. You're going to have to unplug everything and start over, ground zero. The reason this is because it's going to help you understand signal flow. Believe it or not, there were cables that were hooked up in my studio and they served no purpose. Starting over from scratch is the number one thing that I would recommend for anyone. Once I unplugged everything, it gave me so much motivation, and I learned a tremendous amount about my music studio and how it operates. Now, if you still need to be operative, obviously, depending on your setup, the way that I did it was I still had my main speakers connected, and that's essentially it. Everything else was unplugged, whether it was rack effects or desktop synthesizers. There were no cables. I basically plotted everything out on the floor, and I organized, all the balance cables, all the 1/4-inch cables, XLRs. This leads me to step number 2. Take inventory. Grab all those cables and literally organize them. Start from the very beginning. You need to know for sure if you have too many XLR cables, for example. If you have too much of anything, then you can kind of start to back off, and this is going to remove some of the clutter. I have a cabinet over here, and in that cabinet, I basically have all of my cables organized per their purpose. And that just gives me a sense of what it is that I can do and what it is that I need to order or give away. So this is step number 2. Take inventory of everything that you have in your studio. I highly recommend you buy some Velcro tabs and you go ahead and organize them. This is going to just put your mind at ease, number 1, but again, just give you a greater sense of what you have invested in over the years for your music studio. Number 3 is about removing visual clutter, and I basically used 2 things to do that. I used a cable cord cover and cable boxes. The cable boxes did a phenomenal job of essentially removing all of the stuff that was on the floor, whether it was power supplies or power adapters. It did so much in terms of just freeing up space, because it was looking like a landmine as far as all the cables and all the junk that was on the floor. So that's number 1. The next thing is basically using a cable cord cover to sequester and isolate different parts of your studio. So for example, on this side of the room, I have 3 interfaces, and so I'm using a cable cord cover to just connect all of those cables together. So if you can think of your studio in terms of the different outlets and the purposes they serve, I think that also is going to be a winning formula for you. Step number 4, we basically need to reduce the cableage. I'm not sure if that's even a word, but if you have a lot of cables, you're basically going to have to start grouping them together. And so I used a couple of products for this. Number 1, cable raceways. Number 2, cable sleeves, and loop cable clips. These 3 items completely opened up my space. The cable sleeves are a phenomenal way of grouping together cables that serve one unified purpose. For example, I have a monitor station right here on the left hand side, and I keep all of those cables together. Behind my preamp here, I have a bunch of ins and outs, and so those cables are all wrought together with cable sleeves. And then just as an added bonus, underneath my desk, I have these Velcro tabs, which are really useful, especially when you're looking at your studio from the front. Sometimes there's cables that are just naturally going to kind of hang down. And so in order to get those out of sight, you're going to want to basically either attach them to some kind of clip, and in addition, use these Velcro tabs to basically attach them to the top of your desk. Now, if you just use one, it may not be that helpful, but if you use 2, 3, 4, it's really going to keep them propped up so they stay out of your line of sight. And number 5, guys, simplify, simplify, simplify. Every studio is going to be a little bit different, but I find that it's probably a good option for a lot of us to move things in and out. So you don't necessarily have to have every single item connected at all times. I have 2 USB hubs that are phenomenal, and credit to Mixbus TV for promoting that on his channel. And these have really allowed me to turn on and off whatever pieces I'm currently using in my studio. This is a very necessary part of what we do, because if you have, let's say, I don't know, 20 different items in your studio and you're only using 3 of them for a certain task, then why do I need to have everything else on at the same time? So purchasing a powerful USB supply, such as the one provided in my links, will definitely serve you at the highest level. Trust me on that. Making sure that you have the appropriate power supplies in different parts of your studio. You want to make sure that you have enough power, and so don't just have all power supplies just go to one space. For me, what's worked here is having a power supply on the left side of my room, the middle, the right, and then on the far corner as well. That way there is traffic that is opening up and being spread out throughout the studio, rather than having everything just run concurrently into just one hub. So distributing, allocating, I think that's really the way to go. I guess the last thing I'll say here is that you might need to purchase custom cords. There are companies out there that will literally make any cord, any size that you need. And that may be an option for some of you that are very detailed or have very specific needs. One of the worst things is you try and buy a, 12.5-inch cable, and they only have, 20 feet or something like that. That isn't going to work, because again, you're going to have the extra cable edge, and that's just not going to serve you in terms of just having a studio that is fully optimized. You want to make sure things are working. You want to make sure things are as clean as possible. Look, it's never going to be perfect. There's no question. I think we can get it to be as great as we can, but this might be something that you have to revisit year in, year out, every 2 years, every 3 years. And so just be okay with not being a perfectionist, and I think that also will be worth it, because it's not necessarily about having the cleanest music studio. It's about having the most professional and cleanest music, right? I hope this video has helped you guys on some level. I know a video of this nature would have really helped me. I wanted to do this for years, as I said, but I just wasn't clear on the approach and what items I needed. So this has helped me a tremendous amount. If you want to support the channel, use the various links to purchase those items. And I wanted to thank you guys so much. Next video will be about my studio, all the things I have in here and how I use them. All right, guys, Eddie Gray signing out. stay up, stay happy, stay focused on what you want. I'll see you later. Bye.